Previously on GameCast.
FighterZ is pretty much a Dragon Ball fan's take on the 3v3 combat popularized by Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3. Players choose a team of 3 iconic heroes or villains and battle it out until there's only one team left standing. Much like other Arc System Works titles, the game works on a simple structure of chaining light, medium and heavy attack buttons together to form combo strings. You can also mash the light or medium attack buttons for an automated combo that eases newcomers into the genre. You can call in your teammates for a quick assist or tag out to bring in a fresh face and let the other fighter rest for a moment or two. Dragon Ball FighterZ was made for fans of DBZ, fans of fighting games and fans of both. I'm their target market, and I have no problem with that at all. I can't wait to see what else they're planning and will eagerly await its February release date. Since its closed beta and my impressions video last year, FighterZ hasn't really changed all that much. It's still a 3v3 chaotic fighter with a ton of Dragon Ball flair. You can call for help and tag in and out each of your fighters at a moment's notice, provided you aren't the one being hit. There are simple to perform special moves and even simpler one-button combos. Combos are easy enough to perform thanks to a fun and responsive homing dash. At a glance, the combat is fast, fun, and relatively easy to get a handle on. Once you start delving a bit deeper though, this soon changes. Story mode eases players into the game's systems bit by bit with small single battle tutorials for the first arc of the decently long narrative. Here you can level up your fighters and even equip stat boosting skills to help in future encounters. It's fun for a bit, but general progression can become a grind as you move around simple maps beating up the same clones over and over again. There's also a traditional versus mode where you can set up tournaments with friends as well as practice against different AI difficulties. Then we have arcade mode, a progressive slugfest that raises in difficulty the better you perform. It's here that you learn what it's like to fight against the AI as if they were a high level player. They'll read your moves, block your homing dash and unleash hell at regular intervals. Of course this difficulty spike isn't immediate, but I'm sure a large majority of players will encounter something like it during their playtime. I felt this wall relatively early on and it helped me relearn my fighters, and I started picking up on new attacks and combos that the opponents would throw at me. It's a fighting game that initially seems much simpler than it really is. There are even multiple systems in place that some gamers may not even see in actual combat. For example, the Dragon Balls can be earned during a match. Gathering all 7 and powering up to max will allow you to summon Shenron and make a single wish. These wishes can bring back a fallen fighter, heal you fully, give you maximum energy, and grant you a temporary buff to health and energy. To gather the Dragon Balls, you must perform combos of varying lengths successfully. 1 star is granted at 10 hits, 2 stars at 20, and so on. During battle, this feat is almost impossible, and if it's performed during tournament play, it'll be very interesting. There are also multiple comeback mechanics in place besides Shenron, like counter-tagging when blocking, vanishing strikes, and sparking. Sparking is FighterZ answer to X Factor from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, with the power boost, health regen, and time limit varying based on how many fighters have been incapacitated on your team. For the most part, each of the 24 available fighters are varied and unique, showing great diversity in potential combos. However, as this is a Dragon Ball Z game, there are probably a few too many characters that have similar skills. For example, most Z fighters all have Kamehamehas as general attacks, which is expected, but besides Krillin they don't really vary all that much. Goku has several Kamehameha themed supers, and so do both incarnations of Gohan. They might generally fight differently, but the similarities between most fighters is a little annoying. This also comes from the size of the roster itself. In a 1v1 or 2v2 fighters, 24 characters is a pretty good selection. However, in a 3v3 fighter, it's just a little too small. If you include the DLC at 32 characters, then I'd say that would be a good starting number, but 24 as a Dragon Ball game could be pretty off-putting for fans of the anime or casual fighting game fans. Taken purely as a fighting game, I found it to be a little small, but what they do have is great. But when the battle is taken online, don't act surprised when you see most teams consisting of Vegeta, Adult Gohan, and Goku Black. FighterZ final feature is its loot box system. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry, they're all purchasable exclusively with currency earned in-game, and it's all cosmetic items, nothing that ever affects gameplay. Dragon Ball FighterZ is an original spin-off story for the franchise. Taking place in a random alternate timeline, clones of the Z fighters and famous series villains are popping up all over the place, and causing general havoc wherever they can. Goku and pals were quick to respond, however they weren't much help due to a strange wave phenomena, sapping them of most of their strength. Fortunately for them, you as the player actually have a role as a disembodied soul that can grant power to anyone it links to. Hence the tag format and structure of the story mode where everyone is polite and waits their turn. It's a decent enough setup, and it feels like a filler episode and a chance to add in some new dialogue and situations with the characters as they are now. For example, you can see how Yamcha would react to meeting Frieza. I probably had the most fun in the story unlocking optional scenes and dialogue, as they felt like a love letter to fans that provided a lot of fun what-if scenarios. Besides that, I felt that Android 21 was an interesting villain, even if she seemed incredibly shallow in the first 2 arcs of the story mode. But that's also the problem with the story mode as a whole. The first 2 arcs are pretty much interchangeable with one another despite slightly different events occurring in each. At the end of the day, it was nice to have, but it lasted a little too long for something that could have been accomplished much quicker. Graphically, Dragon Ball FighterZ is incredible. At any moment the game looks pretty much identical to the show, which is impressive seeing as this is a 3D engine. Arc System Works have repurposed their Guilty Gear engine to recreate the look and feel of classic Dragon Ball Z. If you were to take away all of the unnecessary HUD icons like health meters, battle timers and energy gauges, you'd be left with a shinier 3D version of the series itself. FighterZ blurs the line even further with its dramatic finishes and special character introductions. If certain conditions are met, you'll be treated to almost shot-for-shot recreations of some of the bigger moments in Dragon Ball history, like Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time or Trunks' iconic finisher on Frieza. It helps show the incredible attention to detail that the devs have put in. Unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of these dramatic scenes, and I hope more will be patched in and added with the DLC fighters. The rest of the game flows perfectly in all its offline modes. I didn't notice any glitches or slowdown during my time, however the online components of FighterZ are a different beast. There are several online battle modes. There's your standard casual and ranked battles, a mini round robin ring battle system, and the arena, a big visual lobby of different fighters battling it out, complete with spectator options. That is only when the online components work properly. There is very noticeable lag and framerate dropping in online matches. The servers are always in overload, most likely due to an underestimation in just how popular the game would be. I did manage to find a few stable matches, but a large majority of my online play was hampered by lag and input delays. The soundtrack is an odd mix of the standard Shonen Jump style music common across the Dragon Ball franchise and the recent heavy metal stylings of Guilty Gear. It gets you pumped up for each battle, and it's a lot of fun. The voice work in both Japanese and English are mostly great and consistent across the board. Although Android 21's voice can get a little too high-pitched, and it's kind of ruins her character a little in English. Some of the lip syncing is a bit odd, and this is most noticeable in some of the dramatic intros.
Curse you! Now I'm mad! Frieza!
At the end of the day, Dragon Ball FighterZ is a ton of fun. It's probably best if you come from a fighting game background, as its roster size and choices weren't exactly made with the general DBZ fan in mind. It's easy to pick up and play, and it's loaded with content should you choose to explore it fully. When paired alongside a game like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, it becomes clear which game caters to each part of the fanbase. I'm happy to finally see Arc System tackling Dragon Ball for home consoles, but I can also see the game being a bit divisive. Even though its online is a bit of a mess right now, I still love the game, and it's a definite must-buy if you love fighting games. And it also helps if you love the source material too. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see more from me, you can find me right here at GameCast as part of the review team, or over at Arisen Culture. Stay tuned to GameCast for more great gaming content.
I'll defeat you and take your place as #1!